Tuning you in now to the LBX show with your host, Brandon Wiley. Brought to you by the LBX Collective, your community to connect, engage, and inspire.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to the LBX show number 12 for January 19th, 2025. And we have a great show for you today. It is, I just came back with Kevin Williams from the EAG, which is the Europe's Entertainment, Attractions, and Gaming Expo. And it was a lot of fun. We had a chance to go and check out a ton of social competition, social competitive locations, and things that we haven't actually seen out here in the US, some that we have seen in the US, but I just haven't had a chance to visit. So anyway, it was a great time out there. And so we have an EAG review with myself and Kevin. And then we also invited Adam Pratt from Arcade Heroes and from Arcade Corner on this show to join us to talk about the EAG review. And so we're going to do that in just a little bit. And then we also have a chow time with Dave Wallace. And then we have a promo pro tips with Chuck DeMonte coming up as well. So let's get into it with some news you should know. All right. So if you are watching this live right now, I will be on my way to New Orleans for the FEC Summit 2025. And that is happening again in New Orleans. The reception kicks off tomorrow night. Well, tomorrow night for me, because I'm recording this on a Saturday, but it kicks off Sunday night, the 19th, and then goes through Tuesday, the 21st. So looking forward to that. It's going to be a great time. So if you're there and then we'll get to hang out. If not, well, then we'll see each other the next time around. So anyway, that is the FEC Summit, and we will be doing a FEC Summit review. We're going to have a couple of guests on as well to do that for the next week's show. So we'll definitely do a breakdown of all the things we got to see and do and learn, and the people we got to meet at the FEC Summit in 2025 in New Orleans. So that should be a lot of fun. All right. But I want to talk about a couple of things. So first of all, Bullwinkle's, they have announced its grand reopening. And so they are a place based in Oregon. And basically they've reopened featuring some of their old favorites, but some new attractions for their guests to explore as well. And so, basically after an extensive 2-year renovation on part of the site, the longtime Family Fun Center, this is in Upland, Oregon, has been reborn and reimagined under new old management, bringing back the iconic Moose character with a modern touch. And so you see one of the cousins here, Cousin Scott and Dyke Huish, are the driving force behind this revitalization of Bullwinkle's. And this was actually founded by their fathers in 1972, which is kind of cool. So they're both cousins. The fathers were cousins, and our fathers were brothers. And now they are reopening, and it's planned for this next week. So kicked off yesterday or Friday the 17th, and goes all the way through this week. There's giveaways, special events. So if you're up in that Upland, Oregon area, definitely go and check it out. But basically we want to check a couple of things. So a lot of their beloved attractions, such as their outdoor mini golf and arcade, they also remain. And then they also have, of course, added a indoor mini golf. They've added a go-kart course here. He is actually surveying his indoor-outdoor go-kart course that they've renovated, and then completely overhauled, and a bunch of other new things. So basically what happened is the property changed hands over the years. So the previous owners, Boomers, they filed for Chapter 11, as many of you might know, in 2020. And the cousins bought the Family Fun Center back, and from Boomers. So it was their fathers, and then sold it to Boomers, and then now they bought it back from Boomers. So now they own it, and they've been working on it over this last little bit. The business gets its name, if you're not familiar with Bullwinkle, from the 1960s cartoon character. So I thought, look, it's kind of cool. Bullwinkle J. Moose, created by Jay Ward. It was also his friend Rocky, and then their foes Natasha and Boris, right? So if you don't remember the Bullwinkle and Rocky show, but you can see here, this is one of the things I like is that all this is obviously one of the employees here. It's got the Moose Squad shirt, so kind of a cool name, cool branding that they've done. Here they've got the Lasertron axe throwing with the projection mapping. So obviously one of the newer attractions that they've put in. They've also renovated their entire bowling lanes, and they got the Brunswick Spark system system. So if you are familiar with Brunswick Spark, these are projection mapped onto the lanes, and there's different games that you can play that both utilize the projection mapping in the lanes, but then also will show different types of animations on the lanes themselves, depending on how many pins you knock down, what pins you knock down, etc. So there's all different types of games. Angry Birds, there's an Angry Birds game and some others that you can play there with that. And then here's their indoor mini golf course. I really like the theming in this course. They've done a good job. It's a pretty straightforward course, but they've done some really neat things like this cow jumping over the moon. They've got a Western themed course as well. And then they they also have added a 4D ride, which I don't know. Here's another shot of the indoor mini golf course. I think I might have captured the 4D ride here, but it's a Triotech 4D theater. And then they've renovated their prize area as well. So the redemption wall is fully redone. Here's their eating area, obviously utilizing the Bullwinkle J Moose on the wall and some of the other Bullwinkle branding, but obviously much more modernized than it would have been before. So overall, look, just a very good looking space. It's a 75,000 square foot indoor space, but they obviously have a lot of external attractions as well. And this is the only one thing that I was frustrated about their renovation. And, look, to be fair, I'd have to go there to really see how it all plays out. But I'm going to make this big here just for a quick moment so you can see it. But basically, the starting line where it says start here, first of all, well done. It's like well marked, start here, like that. But food, attractions, and snacks. So I want to know what happens when they're busy and you're supposed to come there and you're supposed to, I don't know, pay for your go-karting or pay for your mini golf or get your game card. I mean, I'm sure they have kiosks for the game cards, but for the other things. And now you're also like going to get in line with people who are waiting for food and waiting for snacks. This seems to me to be not a great utilization. I'm sure they have other places to get food and snacks as well in the rest of the space. It is a 75,000 square foot space. If they don't, then that's a miss. But I don't like the fact that they're blending the attractions and the food and snacks together into a single point of sale line. I do think that is the one major miss here. And whatever. So that is Bullwinkle's. Congratulations to them. I know those types of renovations can be absolutely insane. And so 2 years of work to reopen and renovate and have a grand reopening. And so I hope you have a great grand reopening and it goes very well for you. So that is Bullwinkle's. And then I also wanted to talk a little bit here about this new shuffleboard concept. It's called it's by Shuffly, and it's called Shuffle Showdown. So this is Shuffle Showdown, and it is a gamified shuffleboard table meant for competitive socializing venues. And it looks very similar to some of the other types of gaming shuffleboard, immersive shuffleboard we have. And I do have a little video here that I can play as well here in just a moment. But, one of the things that I was just, look, the Shuffly, they've been doing this for the leisure and entertainment industry for a long time. They say they're a leader in this. I don't know, because I haven't seen a Shuffle Showdown yet installed anywhere. I know they have a couple of them installed internationally, so it may have been one of the reasons. And it is 25,000 or 24,000 euros for one of these tables. And it does include, all of that you see here in this picture. But look, at the end of the day, it is a shuffleboard concept. One of the things that I was, a little bit shocked with. Well, here, let me just play the video first, and then you guys can. Here, just a quick second here. Let me share my screen. I'll play this video. Oh, nope, we don't want to go full screen yet. All right. So we'll play this quick video. It's just a little bumper, and then we'll go from there. So thank you to Blue Loop for making me aware of this. Okay, so look, they have a look, it's a gamified shuffleboard system. Lots of people having fun. They currently only have 2 games available for their system, so definitely need to develop more games to get used to it. But here, I just want to do a quick rundown. So first of all, you have Shuffle Showdown by Shuffly, and then you have right here. This is I don't know which one. It kind of looks similar. And then you have this one here. Oh, wait, this one also looks similar. Wait a second. So this shuffleboard is electric shuffle. So this is actually shuffleboard installed in venues. So this is actually, again, electric shuffle. I actually had a chance to go to one of these venues with Kevin while I was in London. And look, I will say the overall theming of the venue was one of the best of the places that we saw. Very well done, very classy. If you've ever been to Flight Club, it had a very similar but different vibe. They're going for a slightly different theming vibe than Flight Club, which is a little bit more carnival-esque, and so they definitely did a good job. I did not like their gameplay as much as what you have here. This was this one that we were looking at before, which looks a little bit like Shuffly's Shuffleboard Showdown, but I think the gameplay is way better. This is Conductors or Game Volt's version of their shuffle, the supercharged shuffle, which is in Dave and Buster's, and now they're actually selling into other locations. And I actually thought that their gameplay was really well done. And I really enjoyed this. I actually got to play this at the EAG show this last week and really enjoyed it. And I think they've probably got the best product so far. So anyway, all that to be said is, like, if you're looking to drop something in and create these social bays, social competitive feel into your location, shuffleboard's a great way to go. It's like low barrier to entry, very accessible. The costs aren't incredibly high to implement one of these things. And so definitely take a look at one of these three guys out there on the market currently. And I'm sure there will be others that will come out on the market eventually as well. All right. That wraps up our news you should know. And we will come back in with our EAG review here shortly. Intercard is the only cashless system designed, developed, and manufactured all under one roof. They introduced cashless technology to the amusement industry and have been leading the way for over 30 years. Cashless systems from Intercard increase customer spending, guest satisfaction, and boost revenues by up to 30%. Intercard is so proud to be serving the amusement industry, and if you aren't already part of their global family of customers, they hope you will become one soon. All right, well, this is kind of an exciting segment. Kevin and I are obviously sitting next to each other and enjoying two Negronis. So, cheers, Kevin.
Cheers.
We just wrapped up the EAG show in London at the Excel Convention Center. And so we're all here to talk about it. Adam's obviously been following it very closely as well, seeing a lot of new releases. So we've got some pictures and some insights and just different things we want to kick off. So I guess first thing I'd say, I'll kick it to you, Kevin. Maybe just what was your initial assessment of how EAG went, and also obviously the social and immersive
Entertainment
Expo.
Yes, so cards on the table. I was roped in to become an ambassador for EAG to help its expansion into a new realm, as it were. We created the SIE Expo, both a conference as well, a seminar, as well as exhibitors. From our point of view, that went well. From the amusement point of EAG, it went as well as can be expected in the current conditions. And they also added a third component, as they like to add to their pain and misery. They added a London casino event, and that went as well as could be expected under their conditions. I would say
so those were all concurrent.
They were, yeah.
All this show space was shared.
Casino was roped off into its own section, but it was all contiguous.
Thicker carpet and its own lighting. Poor schleps in the SIE area wouldn't mention. No, I'm joking. Different coloured carpet transition. Yeah. And an interesting thing that certain companies bridged over both sides. So Sega very strategically placed themselves where you had to walk through the Sega booth to get to the SIE components.
Very clever.
They also had 501 and ICE, who were showing competitive socializing products. SIE wasn't just competitive socializing; that was the hard component. It also had virtual reality there, so we had Hero Zone and some other VR companies there. But 501 and Conductor were the kind of the central operations that were promoting the competitive socializing, and all the others followed behind. We had Simways with their shooting gallery, we had Dartsy with their dart system. So, a theme. And from that and the conference, Brandon was kind enough to speak at one of the contentious panel sessions that I ran.
It might have been the most contentious, potentially. It had the potential to be anyway.
That's why I always.
Why is that?
Oh, I threw the hand grenade in, asking if the amusement industry was going to be killed off by competitive socializing.
And he threw that question to me, so I got a chance to answer that one. So yeah,
Lucky you.
I'm renowned for doing that when I'm moderating sessions. So if you look at it from an industry point of view, the show was well attended for what was expected. It was much better attended than it was last year. The energy is quite clear, but the fundamentals is still work to be done.
Yeah, and these with regards to, I'm not going to go into my thoughts around the amusement. Amusement. We covered that on the sound off. That's coming up in a couple of days, so we won't go down that path. I think what we'd really love to focus on here is, okay, specifically, what did we see on the floor that was either interesting or or that we haven't seen maybe in the U.S. And so maybe we should dive into some of that. Adam, I know you've got some photos that you want to walk through. I've got a couple of things, at least that were new to me. It may not be new to the industry, but at least it was the first time I had really seen it on the floor.
Right.
This is the nice thing about EAG. This is the taste of the beginning of 2025. It's the first trade show, and though we may have seen these products previewed at IALPA, this is the products that the customer, the operators will be buying from this point on.
Exactly.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'll start off. I have one, and then I'll kick it over to you, Adam, because I thought, again,
Sounds
this
good.
is I'm probably more ignorant, certainly than you are, Adam, and probably definitely more than you too, Kevin, on what types of amusements are out there. For me, they do tend to blur together. I like more immersive social stuff. And so anyway, the one that I thought was fun, this isn't the first mechanism I've seen, obviously, where it's a pouring game, but this one, this is constantly being used and played, and obviously very intuitive, a little bit of competition back and forth together. And so I did enjoy this the icy pour thing, and it does get more difficult as it goes on, and it was fun to watch the havoc ensue as they were playing together.
IP, unique playing, intuitive to all ages, and in a nice package.
Yes, it was all of those things.
And if you know your history, it uses the same controller that Beer Tapper had back in the 80s. So we've really gone history repeating. But no, I agree. It is a nice. It is a perfect redemption machine.
Yeah, and if those of you who are just listening, the picture, there's a very young girl either playing, I can't tell from the backside, but either her mom or her grandmother.
Right side. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they're definitely obviously able to play together, and that's a good piece as well.
Yes.
Right. So what's very interesting about this is there was an indie made game by a company, very small company here called DSM Arcade, and he created a game called Perfect Pour, as he got the idea for that while he was sitting at a bar watching a bartender, and he was trying to come up with an idea for a new game that would work in bars. And as he was testing that out, Baytech saw that, and they decided they could do that same sort of thing without the alcohol and put it out there. And so his game, Perfect Pour, it's out there now, and I've heard it's earning very well. But a very interesting update that hasn't been announced yet, but it will get an FEC model with a soda license. And so that could make for really very interesting.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And so it should be very interesting to see how this is all going to pan out, because my understanding is IC will be available in April, and this new FEC version, the Perfect Pour, as I said, it's already available now, or it's officially shipping in February. And then this FEC model, I think they're aiming for March to have that ship. And so trying to
that's awesome.
New battle between these.
I would love to see is obviously it's a redemption piece, but I'd love to see if you get a certain high score, or you get something, or you set the high score for the day, you get a free IC. or something
Yeah.
like that. I think that would be like to really partner with the F&B side. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
were touching on the takeaways and the secondary spends. That's a perfect example.
So what do you got, Adam?
Well, let's add it up here. There's a lot of photos that were provided by Free Play City, which is a location there in London. And one of the things they were most interested in was the Taiko no Tatsujin kiddie ride, which for those listening, if you're familiar with Taiko no Tatsujin, if not, you'll look it up and there will be this character with an orange happy face. That's basically a drum and they have a kiddie ride where it's this character Don-chan, and it's interactive sort of. I mean, kids generally don't care. But still, it's one weird thing that I've been trying to get confirmation on is might only be available in Europe and not in the States. They did bring it to IAPA, but of course IAPA has a lot of international crossover. But I haven't been able to get an answer from Bandai Namco yet as to what the deal is there. But definitely available there in Europe.
I had a long chat with their US chief executive, Bandai Namco, just to try and get an idea about the video amusement component of that. Will they be bringing the drum game that we saw at IALPA over?
The one my son was obsessed with, by the way.
Yeah,
and loves that game.
and they've confirmed that they have plans to do that. They also clarified what they meant by limited release, which is what they've got in their warehouse rather than that they're running a limited release. They confirmed the subscription model that they were talking about is correct. So seeing them do a bringing over the Japanese kiddie ride experience based on the drum game that they've now relented on bringing over tells us a lot. And what is not shown in that picture, there was also merch in the cabinets based on that game. So this is one of, if I was still at Disney, we would be calling this one of our outlier IP properties. If Bandai Namco, this is one of their popular IPs, and they are giving it the royal treatment now internationally.
So I'll go ahead and pull up this next one. One of the trends, obviously, we've seen over the last 2 years probably is just the outpouring of mini golf, the different mini golf scenarios, mostly in the competitive socializing space. So, you know, you've got your Holovis 360 Golf 360 or 360 Golf. You've got your Lucky Putt. You've got Putt Shack. You talk about those and all those. Well, this was one that was actually an amusement piece, and I had a chance to finally play it, and I was unimpressed, frankly. It was fine. What I kept finding, those balls would get caught in the little tray here and wouldn't roll all the way back, and then it was actually really difficult. I'm a fairly decent mini golf putter, and you know, I was getting it into the holes, but like the amount of time I had, I only got it into 3 or 4 or 5 holes because if you miss the hole, the ball has to roll all the way back down and then come out to the side, come back down. And so, you know, this is one of those pieces where I think that the guest is going to get frustrated over time and is definitely not going to be a repeat play piece. And so anyway, but it was interesting to see that people are trying to attempt somewhat of a competitive socializing piece, but not quite getting there in an amusement environment.
You're looking at a product that actually has quite a long history. So it is not a new product. It is actually a European
It did not look like a new product to me. It was not, did not have the...
But with the explosion in mini golf and competitive socializing, they've dusted it off and brought it back.
Okay, yeah. Well, that explains it, because it didn't have the feel, like the smoothness and feel of a new product. And it definitely didn't play like a new product.
But that said, I am sure our friends at ICE or Jet will take one look at that and not just dust it off, but give it a remake. And having seen what 501 was showing at the show regarding...
We'll pull up here in just a minute,
I think we'll see a lot more interest in that type of thing. But thank you.
Yeah, actually, here, we'll pull that up right now as long as we're talking about it. This is 501's new... I mean, it's not yet available for purchase. They were just previewing it here. I imagine by the time we get to Amusement Expo, it'll be much more ready for prime time. There's a few things they're adding to the gameplay. They currently only have 2 games for it. but it tells you what they're thinking and the direction they're going. And I will say, it was enjoyable, and it was definitely much more accessible than the other one was as well. From
Hmm.
I was able to stand up on there, hit the ball in, and be able to do something with it. And it's wide enough to actually fit in a classic social bay, so
Exactly.
multiple people can sit around and have drinks and enjoy playing and watching.
So for those of you, 501 are the people that make the augmented reality darts system that Sega represents, and they are now working on 3 new projects, and they brought one of their projects over to the show, which is what you're looking at is a LED screen above slots that you're targeting with your ball, and this is going to be a competitive socializing mini golf system. It shows promise. It is very early on. I wouldn't even call this a production prototype.
No.
I would say this is a proof of concept.
Yes,
platform.
agreed.
Gotcha. Now, how would it compare to, say, Hollowgate's Hyper Golf? Obviously, it's still a bit early, but do you think
Yeah.
that the concept is better or on par, so to speak,
Well, having a
with
digital
what they're doing?
screen having a digital screen with holes to aim for makes it a very simplistic putting green kind of approach. Where what Hologate have created is a kind of mini golf with digital infusion.
Yeah,
Mhm.
what I think is unique about this, and there is one other group here in the UK called Putt Above. They have 2 locations, and they are trying to productize their putt system. But this is much more of a social bay, social competitive environment. So very similar to 501 or to an axe throwing bay or whatever. You're just going to hang around that single hole, and the gameplay changes, but you're using the same hole mechanism. The back
Mhm.
wall, the different slots for whatever games that you're playing.
Yes.
All right, Adam, what do you got?
Let's see. We've got this one I heard about. I don't know if you played it, but apparently a Chinese answer to Sega's drone racing Genesis, Crazy
Yeah.
Drone.
Yes, I did
So, what
play
did you
it.
guys think of that?
Oh my God, the graphics. Oh, it was a confused mess of gameplay. So that kind of nicely segues into the Chinese amusement against the Western video amusement argument that I would like to come to in a minute. But from that point of view, the game was very garish in its color. You have shooting, so you're controlling your drone and racing, but you don't have acceleration. So you have to hit the targets or shoot your competitors to move forward. It does vertical increases and pure. You're driving along and then the arrow shows you you've got to go up, and it just grabs you and pulls you up. It is
Mhm.
what I would call the worst and the best of the Chinese game experience.
Fun.
Have you had experience with this yet, Adam? Or is this
No, because this debuted at EAG. It hadn't been seen before, and so I now it sounds a lot like there is a game that LAI released last year called Airstrike,
Okay.
where it sounds very similar to that because Airstrike also has a racing and a combat component to it without any acceleration, which as a gamer, I found that frustrating when you can't control how fast you're going, yet you're being judged on how quickly you get to the end of
Exactly.
the
Yes.
course.
So I did
And
have a chance
so,
to play. I did have a chance to play Airstrike actually,
Yeah.
this week, and I would agree with you. It definitely was frustrating to to work with, and you had to hit the little acceleration. Oh, is that it there? You had to hit the acceleration spots to try to get through and try to get through the hoops, and if you're coming up on a rock wall, you couldn't slow down or do anything. Like you
right.
literally just had to try to move, and your speed is consistent. So anyway, it was a frustrating game to play. I did not get actually a chance to play the drone racing one though.
Right. And
Yeah.
although I guess Airstrike has the benefit of having that pendulum swinging motion,
Yes, it has a
which,
unique motion base, and that was one of
right.
the things that we saw across all of the new amusement. I would argue that the universal cabinet experience was prevalent as a trend at the show. There were a number of products. I got to play Goldstorm Pirates all the way through. I played the new pirate-based game from Ace Amusement, which is Shadow. Oh,
Skull of Shadow.
thank you. Scholar's Shadow, which is interesting that it has the same kinds of elements as the Namco game, but the quality of graphics and the player are totally different. Got to play the new shooters. So we, you could say that we have large cabinet deployments, either
Mhm.
in a motion bench seat with a mounted gun, or with multiple shooting positions. The new Showdown shooting game from Ace is amazing, 4-player. But also we have the examples from the American side, which is Godzilla, fitting into the same kind of profile. It's interesting, for me, over the years of monitoring the UK trade shows, capturing of the zeitgeist, we definitely can see it's a battle between the American developers and the Chinese developers at the moment.
Now, one trend I've been wanting to ask about is I've noticed that, like in the instance of Goldstorm Pirates, it's no longer an enclosed sort of deluxe machine. Instead, it's open air, I guess you could say. Or actually, right behind me is a picture of Luigi's Mansion, which is a fully enclosed. But it seems like everybody's moving away from the enclosure. Do you know why that would be?
Becoming more soft top, as it were. There were examples of the fully enclosed, so the skull shadow, whatever you want to call it this week, was an enclosure, but most of them are more open based now. And part of the reason for that is operators just don't feel comfortable with having complete enclosure games.
Den of Iniquities.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, I would also say we were talking at actually through a couple of different sessions yesterday about the need for spectating and the desire for, if I'm there with a group of friends and it's a two-seater racing game, then I want my friends are going to want to stand around and spectate, right? And this now, if it's totally enclosed, I'm like peeking in through the corner trying to watch them versus just being able to see the big screens overhead and experience it with them. So I also think it's a spectating trend.
I would say it's the spectating factor front and center, with the other problems a second.
So one of the things I had a chance to play this with just some random kid, and it was a blast. Because in any normal, this is an air hockey table for those of you who are not watching. It's a Tom and Jerry branded air hockey, and again, may not have been the first time that this has been on the show floor, but the first time I had seen it, first time I actually got a chance to play it, and it was a lot of fun. It was just me and him on the other side, but it looks like you could potentially play 4-player on this. It was a little bit of a bigger table. But what's unique about this is it starts off as a standard air hockey table. It just shoots one puck out, and you're hitting it back and forth, and then another puck comes out, and then another puck comes out, and another. By the time you're done playing, pucks are flying everywhere. There's some are flying off the table a little bit if you're hitting them too hard, but like it is just crazy, and like points are going in all over the place, and there's absolutely no way that you could out. So what I like about this is in a scenario where I really enjoy air hockey, and if I'm playing with my kid, I'm like I have to really not play to potentially lose to let my kid win. In this case, like we both have the same equal chance of winning, and it just it's fun. We ended up laughing at the end, and it was a lot of fun, and I didn't have to ruin that kid's day.
Right.
Is that the Tom and Jerry license now? Is that Adam? You'll know better than me. Again, not my specialty. These type of machines. Is that a Namco product, or is that a Andamiro?
Yes, it's
Andamiro had the Tom and Jerry IP as well. No, that's a Namco system.
It's Namco, yeah. They actually first debuted that at IAPA 2023, but they didn't release it until last year. But yeah, so Namco has that license now. What Andamiro showed at IAPA was something called Talking Tom, which is a YouTube series. But I haven't seen them do anything with Tom and Jerry specifically.
What do you have, Adam?
Another Chinese one is Dinosaurs World, which I guess what's kind of amusing to me about this one is that it copies both Jurassic Park and Dream Raiders, the version of Dream Raiders that Sega did a few years back. I heard from the show that it was terrible, but not sure if you came across this one as well.
Yeah, I gave it a couple of seconds and walked away. Gearish colors game, mounted gun game, delay lag, Chinese hallmarks. And I don't mean to belittle Chinese developers' products. Some of the Chinese developers are producing good product, but this one
Right.
was aimed at a unique market.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, and so then I'm going to make a switch quickly from amusements. We'll come back. Yeah, obviously, Adam, I know you've got some more things to talk about. I actually have a few others, but I did want to make sure that we had a chance to at least talk about Conductor. And they had a really good presence at the show. Conductor is their game division is called Game Vault. Their social gaming division is called Game Vault. And they had their shuffleboard product, which is the same product you could see on display at Dave & Buster's. Not all of them yet, but they're rolling this out. They did not have their virtual arena available, which they just call the arena. And what we did see though is that they have, because we have seen this trend now from a couple different places. They have a game, a shooting game. What am I trying to say? A clay game. A clay game coming up. And so here's a picture of it. It's coming soon. They said that they thought they would have it available for. They're going to have it at Amusement Expo or not. I couldn't remember if he said it was going to be ready by then to show anyway.
The product has been specially developed for Dave & Buster's, and then they get permission to release it for general circulation. It is what you would expect, a shooting game on the clays level of engagement. Hopefully the guns won't be so heavy.
Yes, yeah. There was another group at the show that had also had yes, exactly. And they had two games available with their clays, but the rounds were too long, the guns were too heavy, and by the end, I mean, two guys like who we were like, okay, the gun was sagging down, and we were definitely done by the end. That's again not going to drive repeat play. So hopefully they've learned a little bit from that type of an experience, and Game Vault will do a little bit better job with their clay shooting.
So Conductor now are sitting on their electric shuffle-esque kind of shuffle board. They have their arena system. They have now the shooting game, and they also informed us of their next other concept. So we are seeing the competitive socializing developers now having a kind of rollout program that we would have expected to see from the amusement side. So it's an interesting juxtaposition of how these things are working.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what do you got next, Adam?
I only really have one thing left, and that would be this Animal Kaiser Plus, which did debut last year at Amusement Expo and was released to the market shortly afterwards. But this is one of those rare instances in amusement where Europe gets the game first before North America does, and that's because, as far as I know, Animal Kaiser still has a very strong following in the UK. Whereas in the United States, it's still been struggling. I don't know how well it's sold, but I know when I was talking with Namco last year, they were saying that in the past, Animal Kaiser only really sold well in Hawaii, and it never done very well in the mainland. But they were hoping that now, where card collecting games had become a thing, that it was now time for it. But even then, the presence of Animal Kaiser at the show looked like it was much more substantial than anything they've shown over here in the States, probably to help capture that and get more sales.
So it was interesting that I would call these outlier products. These are concepts that they think if they build it, they will come kind of approach. Mm-hmm. And next door to these card collector machines was Gashupo. And these are the two areas that Japan management have pushed the Western management to really invest in. So
Mhm.
there were a number of examples of Gashipo capsule and capsule playing machines on the show floor for the UK. The UK is in a transition regarding the vendortainment side of the business. So, there was on the UDC side, they had capsule games, but the capsules are large objects, and the vending machine is very impressive, and they are entertainment. I think that Bandai Namco are finding it difficult to sell their Kaiser game. I don't think it is achieving the penetration that they thought it was. But I will be able to definitively make a statement regarding that after Amusement Expo.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, that was this was great. It was nice to do a debrief and a review of EAG. The next time I think we'll probably do something like this will be after Amusement Expo. In which case, I think it would be great if we could do all three of us together live.
Oh, yeah.
That would be awesome if we could make that happen. So,
And
all right,
hopefully we
awesome.
won't get kicked out of the convention center.
Yeah.
Oh, we will. Oh, we will.
Yeah,
Oh, we will.
or we'll just try to manage our time better and not try to do it at the very end of the segment. So anyway, all right. Well, Adam, it was great to have you on. Kevin, it's been a pleasure to spend this week with you here in London, and we will all see you guys on the next Guest Gab.
Safe travels.
If you run a location-based entertainment brand and want to attract more visitors, check out Radius. They use real-time location data and customized marketing strategies to help brands like yours stand out. Radius can boost your foot traffic and build a loyal customer base. Plus, they're offering a complimentary local market analysis to show you exactly how they can help you grow. Curious? Visit radius.co and ask about your free market analysis. That's RAYDIUS.co.
All right. Well, that was our EAG Expo review. And so now coming up next, we have Chow Time with Dave Wallace.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Chow Time, coming from sunny Sacramento today. I wanted to talk a little bit about adding a bar to your entertainment center. A lot of people that I deal with over the years, or have dealt with over the years, initially think that the bar business is something that doesn't belong in a kid's place or an adult's place or entertainment center. And, once I start digging into the details of why it makes sense, it gives them a new perspective. So I brought a slide along with us. Hopefully you guys can see it here. And, one thing that I tell everyone's your brand's what other people think about you when you're not in the room. In today's world, millennials, which average millennials, the oldest millennial is about 44, which means they have kids, and they all look for an all-encompassing experience, the eat, drink, play model. They don't have time to go out to an entertainment center or go out to eat and then to an entertainment center. So if you can do them both in one swoop and have decent food, some drinks and entertainment, your revenues go up considerably. I can tell you, like the benchmark survey for IAPA says that people go 2.9 times a year on average to an entertainment center. But when we track our properties or the properties that we're involved in, which is now over 130, we're seeing a repetition of 7 to 10 times with a F&B program, a decent F&B program. One thing you got to remember, though, is people don't go to an entertainment center to eat. They go to an entertainment center to be entertained, and while they're there, they're going to eat. Because a lot of people go, well, I don't want to put food in here because there's a lot of restaurants around me. And again, they're not coming to your place, but while they're there, they will, if you have that opportunity. So, considering this, that, your brand's what other people think about you, and the millennials and their kids, Gen Zs, are all growing into this space where they want that all-encompassing opportunity. adding a sports bar component, or they've added it throughout the United States, and they're now modernizing it as we talk. This is a study I did in Brooklyn, New York, and you walk in the front door, and it's kind of hard to see in this one, but the fourth screen when you walk up to the counter to order your pizza, and again, this is Chuck E. Cheese, is a picture of a big beer. So, you know, we call it an adult pacifier. People come to a place with a bunch of screaming kids, having a glass of beer or a glass of wine isn't going to make you a ton of money, but it does create a higher relevance to your the people around you. So if you don't have beer and wine versus having it, the mom and dad might choose to go to the one versus the other. So it's not about being a bar, it's about having opportunity. Change isn't a threat, it's an opportunity. Survival's not the goal, transformational success is. And I talked to a lot of people about MTV. MTV, when I grew up, I was 11. It started when I was 11, and it was all MTV flag in the ground, played the Star Spangled Banner, and it went to snow. It shut off at midnight.
All right, I'm just going to pop in here real quick. We'll come right back to Dave Wallace here, but I just wanted to make a quick disclaimer. Clearly, he is at a hotel and his signal is going in and out. So if you do hear his audio cut out, if you're listening to this, don't think, oh, shoot, what happened to mine? It is definitely on Dave's side. Obviously, it's a hotel Wi-Fi, and so he's dealing with it as best as he can. And then also, if you're watching it and you see his video freeze, but maybe you're still hearing his audio, again, it's not on you. It's not on your end. It is on the Wi-Fi for the hotel that Dave is at. So anyway, coming right back to Dave right now, but did want to just make that disclaimer here.
Sellable product, offer differentiating options versus your competitors. It's a comfort zone for adults, drives corporate and social events, expands your age range, and it's very profitable. You know, looking at the opportunity, overcoming the taboo, understand your opportunity, advertise smart, develop a plan, and think Applebee's. Why I put think Applebee's, not that a lot of people eat at Applebee's anymore, but they used to build a bar right in the middle of their restaurant. But if you go into Applebee's, everyone participates, from young to adults. You'll see screaming kids all the way to elderly people enjoying themselves in there. They don't think of it as a bar, but it's the center point. And you got to make sure that when you're doing an entertainment center, whether I got some entertainment centers that have 9 bars in it, I got some that have 1, I have some that you walk up to a counter and order, making sure that it fits your model. Goodness gracious, I can't see that. You know, the big thing is understanding your laws in your state. Some states have what's called DRAM laws, which is third-party liability, which means if you ever serve someone, they go out, get in their car, drive away drunk, and hit someone and kill someone, you could be charged for manslaughter. Now, I've never, ever seen that happen to date, knock on wood, but you got to make sure that you are doing an alcohol awareness program. And if you need an alcohol awareness program, you can email me, text me, or call me. I'll send you one, but you got to make sure it's in every orientation and once every quarter that you're having them review it and sign off on it to protect yourself from any potential liability. Setup, you got to understand a couple things. If I'm going to put a bar in, I want to have 1 ice well for every 60 seats in the building. How many people have gone to a place and there's 10 deep at a bar? The owners that I talk to go, that's great. I got 10 people at the bar. The bar's exciting. I'm like, a drink should take no more than 2 minutes to get out to someone. So making sure that your business or your bar is built to your maximum opportunity within those four walls, because I can shut off wells. I don't have to use certain parts of the bar. But during my peak time, I want to make sure I use as much as I can. And then bar equipment's going to be indicative of space. I can tell you, I can build all the equipment of a big bar that holds 32 seats. It's about $59,000 worth of equipment. And having a bar, you got a very, very low cost associated with the product, because a bottle of well vodka, for instance, has 27 shots in a bottle. And those 27 shots cost you about $5 for a bottle of well vodka. So if someone orders a vodka tonic in almost every market, you're going to charge a minimum of $5, which means you got 26 shots of profit. And in some cities, half of the United States, the tip minimum wage for a bartender is only $2.13. So there's a high opportunity to make a good amount of money, even if you're not driving the bar. But when you build your bar, it has to be programmed. You got to have customized drinks, the right beer on tap, the right wine. Looking at our properties that we look at, as of today, 65% of all of our bar sales are liquor. And that's because we create custom drinks for the bar. And that's where most of the money's made. The craft movement's come and gone. You still got to have some crafts, got to have IPAs and, a couple locals on tap, but it's only 25% of your revenue now. And the cost of beer has gone up significantly. Like if I get a pony keg, which is a third of the size of a big keg, I'm paying about 20 to 26 cents an ounce. Well, if I pour a 16-ounce beer, that's $3.20 I got invested in that one beer, if not more. If I pour a vodka tonic, I got 30 cents, which I make a lot more money going that route. So making sure you understand what sells, how it sells, and what's your best profit opportunity is critical. Drink specials, talk about this ad nauseum. If you ever walked in a place and get $1 off a Jim Beam from 3 to 7, I like Jim Beam and I like Bullet Rye Old Fashions. I don't care which one I get, but if I walk up to a bar and I say, give me a Bullet Rye Old Fashioned, well, we're got $1 off Jim Beam, I'll step over and take that $1 off. I don't need to, but I'll step over and take that $1 off because I like them both. Well, that's called a trade down special. So when you're looking at your specials top to bottom, whether it's arcade, food and beverage, or drinks, understand that there's relevant promotions, or what we call traffic drivers, and there's trade down. Not one person's going to come into your building for $1 off a beer. They're just not. And a lot of people have gotten to the misconception of running a 3 to 7 or 3 to 6 happy hour at $1 off this or $1 off that. You'll see no traffic come in, or very little traffic. And if you do, you're just losing money because they're not coming in for that. They're coming in for something else, and they're just going to trade down to that opportunity. Traffic drivers, most of our properties do half price drinks on Wednesday night, everything, shots, beer, wine, cocktails. It's very relevant, and it's a traffic driver. People will come in for that. Like we do bowling on most of our properties, $3 bowling games on Tuesdays. Gets a lot of people in. If you're charging $25, $35, $45 an hour and you drop it all the way to $3. So this is just the basics of the drink program. We'll get deeper into the weeds in a couple other sessions as we keep moving down this road. Other than that, take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon.
All right. Well, thank you, Dave, for that. And we have, so a couple of things I want to just call out here. Obviously, it depends on your market and on your audience, but one of the things Dave said here is that adding drinks, adding a cocktail solution or bar, or at least beer and wine, is absolutely essential to your facility. And look, you got to make the decision about whether or not it's the right thing for your audience, your market. But look, try to find a way to make that happen, basically, is what Dave was saying. And then he said, think of Applebee's, right? Putting in the middle of your facility or incorporating it into your overall atmosphere and into your venue and into the guest experience is another key thing here. And then the last thing I think that stood out to me was to cut out the drink discounts as a method of traffic driving. He called it a trade down. And so definitely find other ways to drive traffic and then still be able to monetize your food and your beverage at its full amount, because people will pay it if they're getting discounts, especially in other areas. So anyway, thanks so much for that expertise, Dave. And coming up next, we've got promo pro tips with Chuck DeMonte.
Hello and welcome to Promo Pro Tips with Chuck DeMonte. That's me. And on today's segment, I want to talk about something that has really recently come to mind. It's like one of those marketing basics, but sometimes, you just in the day-to-day doing stuff, you almost forget it. And so we recently started bringing on some clients who really sort of needed to invoke this strategy and this mindset because they had a great location and we just really need to help them get the spotlight on it, right? So how did we do that? So I want to talk about sort of branding, which means like the positioning and showcasing your location, right? We see so many times people have unbelievable locations, whether it be a bigger family entertainment center with a lot of attractions, or a trampoline park, laser tag, arcade, whatever it might be. They have this great location, cool concepts, but they have like no branding and no assets for it, right? Really the assets, meaning videography, photography, showing their stuff. A lot of their social media content is just graphics, or, it's nearly impossible to see what the location looks like or entice people to come and for them to envision what it would be like for them to be there with their family or friends, because the assets are terrible, or they're non-existent, right? Or the other side is they have assets and they've just never gotten them out there. They're really sort of just sitting on them, right? And not having got enough eyeballs on there, right? So I want to tackle both of those things with you all today. So basically, how do you create these assets and how do you get more eyeballs on them? Okay. So first and foremost, I really want to make a point, and this is all underpinned by your location is awesome, right? It's well operated, it's clean, it is has a good staff and the good team members, and just all the things. And people, when they go there, they have a good time and they want to tell other people about it. Otherwise, no amount of marketing and getting in front of people is going to help, because when they come there, they're not going to have a good time, right? And then they're not going to come back. So with that being said, let's talk about getting assets and creating those. So I think a lot of people, I think it's either they're like, they don't know how to create these assets, or it seems sort of like a more difficult task to get these assets. Or like I said, they have the assets, they just don't know what to do with them. So let's talk about creating these assets. One, you really don't need a big budget, right? And I understand some people are working with a tighter budget, but at the end of the day, you need to find a budget to get these things done. Otherwise, people aren't going to know about you and you're never going to get the revenue you want, right? Business requires to make an investment in it, right? So we just recently had a grand opening. We found a videographer to come down for 6 hours, create us a 1.5-minute long video, get us give us photos as well. So photographer and videographer came down for $1,300. Okay. Unbelievable deal, right? If you're a single location, you could probably use that for an entire year. That could be assets for your website, photos for your website. That can be photos for your social media content, other videos you put down, and, create a cooler video and put that on YouTube and spread that out. So, that's not a lot of money. That's $1,300 for a year. Okay. Typically what we do for our clients, we'll send a videographer or photographer, right? Hopefully one of the same, out there once per quarter. And we're being charged anywhere from $400 to $600 for that session. Okay. Now my team will create that videographer. A lot of times will just send us the raw assets and photos, and my team will create something out of that. But you could do that as well. You could maybe find somebody on Upwork. If you feel like the videographer is going to charge you a lot to create an asset, and not just provide the raw files for you. You could find somebody on Upwork to do it, fairly cheap to create an asset for you. Okay. So again, get these assets created. Okay. I cannot tell you how important they are. Even getting like something like a drone footage, right? That might sound like, oh, you think that might cost a lot. You could get it. It's not that crazy, right? And so the reason I bring that up, we had a client who had this unbelievable drone video, but again, they weren't getting it out there that much, getting many eyeballs on it, right? We came in, we helped him get some eyeballs on his incredible assets that he had already, and it's done amazing, right? It's really helped bring in a lot of visitors into his location and increase the revenue. So again, get those assets. Second way to do this is with influencers, right? Maybe you can find an influencer. A lot of times you could barter with them, local influencers. A lot of times look for like your town, like a foodie person who covers your town, or things to do in, Houston, things to do in whatever, right? There's a lot of very common sort of vernacular or common names, handles that people use that are these type of influencers, right? Have them come down. A lot of times you could barter with them, give them free events or free tickets, right? And they'll come down. Now you could use the asset that they create, right? And what's cool about that, it's third-party validation, meaning it's not you saying how great your place is, it's somebody else saying it, right? And then you could turn that into an ad. Okay, people don't even realize it's coming from your account. They just see this other influence saying, look how cool this place is, this cool place that I found, right? So two ways to create assets, right? Videographer, photographer, and potentially getting an influencer, all right? Now, you have those assets. How do you get more eyeballs on them? How do you get more exposure for them? Meta ads, okay? It's so simple. You still get the best bang for your buck in a local market. There's a ton of people that use Instagram, a ton of people that use Facebook, especially if your demographic is the mom, dads, right? They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, okay? Now, all you want to do is awareness ads. So Facebook and Meta, I should say, when you're running ads, has different objectives. You want to get link clicks, you want to get video views. We're just saying just awareness. You'll put Meta, I want awareness on these, which means getting just as many eyeballs on it as possible. You'll put it in a 5 or 10 mile radius. We find 10 mile radius is pretty common, right? In terms of how far people are traveling. We're usually a 20-minute drive time, which typically fits in about a 10 mile radius. So do a 10 mile radius, get those assets in there, uploaded photos, videos, right? And again, Facebook's going to get those in front of as many people as possible. And they'll even do the job of putting in front of people that are reacting to it the most, that are watching it, right? That are most interested. So you don't have to worry about choosing your demographic. Facebook will do that for you, or will get it in front of the right people for you. It couldn't be simpler, okay? I suggest a budget of about $500 to $1,000 per month to get the most bang for your buck. If you need to go less, fine. But I think that's, $500 should be a really good starting point. And I promise you it will start to work. Okay. And done consistently. Maybe start changing the videos out. You don't want to get, creative fatigue, meaning people have seen this video and these photos for a year, right? You want to change that stuff out. So that's really the best thing. And again, as I said earlier, you need to have a great location, no matter the marketing or great video asset or photo assets you have. If people are not enjoying your location, it's not going to work. So hopefully that helps. So get out there and make some money.
Intercard is the only cashless system designed, developed, and manufactured all under one roof. They introduced cashless technology to the amusement industry and have been leading the way for over 30 years. Cashless systems from Intercard increase customer spending, guest satisfaction, and boost revenues by up to 30%. Intercard is so proud to be serving the amusement industry, and if you aren't already part of their global family of customers, they hope you will become one soon. All right. Well, thank you, Chuck, for walking us through how to position and showcase a new location. And one of the things I talk about a lot on the show, and definitely through when we were doing the daily show, I would talk about this all the time, which is, look, when we look at these new venue websites or even venue webs that have been open for a long time, you need to make sure you have good, solid photos, good, solid videos to really make sure that people understand, one, that they're going to have fun when they're there, and two, what they're going to expect. The last thing I want to do is walk into a space that I've never been able to see any pictures in advance to even know what the space is going to look like and what type of attractions are there. So get as many photos and professional photos and professional video, and even that drone video is great. So definitely agree with Chuck. And he obviously talks about a lot of other things, but that was the one thing that I know that I really love to see on a site for a facility. So, all right. So that wraps up our show for today, for January 19th. And one last thing I want to talk about here, whoa, that just made it all big here, is the LBX Galaxy. And there are more and more people joining and more conversation and things being posted there. This is a community for our industry. So join the LBX Galaxy. You can go to lbxgalaxy.com, or you can take your phone, scan this QR code that is on the screen, and get involved, ask questions, post your recommendations, anything else that you might think that is valuable to the rest of the community. Get that out there. Absolutely. All right. So next week we have a special FEC Summit, IAPA FEC Summit review. There'll be a couple of guests I'll have on that will end up talking and sharing a little bit about what's happening. Otherwise, this is Brandon Wiley with the LBX Show signing off. Stay tuned and keep kicking ass.